The communication process is a model. It is a way that we perceive things and how we see things. And we have to have this process going on. Otherwise, we do not really understand what we need to do. A person first starts off with an idea to communicate. And this idea that he is creating then is shared with somebody else. And the idea is then encoded. That means he expresses his knowledge of the concept, the attitudes, the cultural values, the feeling, and even his past experience that would influence these ideas around us. Now, as these ideas are transmitted to the other person or group, we must encode these ideas. Think back to our histories when we were playing in classes, we were doing things, we had to communicate, or even if we were in a war situation where the other side is not one that we want to let them know what we're doing, so we use a code. And as these codes are encoded into an idea, then the sender must take this code and he must make a message out of it. And this message is this encoded process, and it's then sent to the receiver. And then the receiver who decodes it is based on their perception. They are different from the senders. They're not the same. So in order to make sure that they understand what we're trying to say in the message, the receiver has to be able to let the other person realize, hey, this interpretation is decoding it, and once he sends it out as a decode back to the original sender, then he gets feedback. The sender gets feedback. Now the receivers then reply to the senders, and this whole process goes back and forth, and their original message is interpreted correctly by the receiver. Then they understand. They're basically communicating. But if it's not understood, then we have an issue here. Then a conversation will ensue. They will go ahead and talk back and forth and make sure that they understand what the message is as they are talking to each other or sending this information back and forth to each other. This cycle goes on, and the cycle is called the communication process. And the receiver are then sent this through the channel. The channel means the transmitting of this message either by paper or by sound or by signals or whatever else he may be doing to send a message, where it then in turn is transmitted and received and sent back again. Now, we want to give somebody something to understand, then you have to deliver it. And this message will be sent through many channels, and by speaking face to face or even in writing or in sign language, it's then transferred back and going over and over again as the content in the communication takes place. The context, including that of the communication, which includes the situation, the environment, and everything associated with what they were talking about, is then taken into play. Now, when that situation is interrupted or distorted or blocked, then this process changes. And this process, when it changes, like a loud noise or a phone call or bad connection, that is an interference in the communication process. It's called a communication barrier.